So here we go. 2 months too late, but here we are. Last year we started this at the height of the pandemic as a way to stay in touch with everybody. We called it the nature of things. And we had trips to the Delaware Bay. We talked about my garden. We talked about migration. This year we're going to return to the garden because that's where we spent the most time. And we're going to start talking about some books that I've got that associate with it. The first one I had is a very beautiful book about an English gardener, and it's called The Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady. This is a very collectible book, and it is, last year you heard me talk about Richard Prenneke in Alaska and going to live in Alaska and him taking his daily notes and personal diary. Well, this woman did not take an adventurous trip, but she made notes in her garden, and they're also beautifully illustrated. So this is a collectible book. It's called The Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady, and she took detailed notes of her gardening skills and observations of nature. Always try to pick that up and have that at the bookstore when I see copies. Of course, if you're going to have a garden and you're going to have plants, you've got to know what you have and how to take care of them. So in the bookstore, we have a lot of guides on plants and flowers. We have a guide, this is called Taylor's Guide to Seashore Gardening. Of course, every temperate zone and area in the world has plants that thrive in a specific area, and this guide helps with what happens here at the Jersey Shore. And this is called, along those lines, is called the New Jersey Gardener's Guide. For those gardening who maybe don't live in Jersey, but we have a lot of people come to our bookstore from other states. We always have a lot of interesting books on gardening. This is called the Outdoor Potted Bulb for those who, whether container gardeners or people who rely on, if you remember from last year, a lot of road traffic. Instead of buying your plants like I do at the local nursery, you can prepare your bulbs the year before, and this is called the Outdoor Potted Bulb. And we're going to show you some whimsical pictures of our garden. I've talked before about how I do not get much light here, so instead of growing a lot of vegetables, I've kind of gone into herbs, flowers, and turned it into a rock garden. And between me and the girls, we're adding our little whimsical things. We're good friends with Stan Spurlock with the Spurlock Outdoor Sculpture Gardens, and he has a lot of whimsical things around his property, which has kind of inspired us to add some things here. This is called Gardening in Miniature. Create your own tiny world. And if you go to some stores these days, you'll see how they sell little gnomes and things to create your own, or fairies to create your own little world. This book is called Topiary and the Art of Training Plants. For those of you into clipping their plants and creating shapes to match your garden and what you're trying to accomplish, this book is called The Ultimate Container Gardener. Not everybody has a lot of land to plant. A lot of people down the shore have shore homes, might have big yards, or you live in a townhouse or an apartment. I know that in the cities, container gardening is big, and there are butterflies and bees and birds there that are literally just flying from container pot to container pot and have a life of their own in the city. In a bigger context, if you are a big-time gardener, this is called The Well-Designed Mixed Garden, and this is one of many, many, many books we have on gardening at the store. And from watching last year, the beautiful thing about this piece of property is being in the peninsula of the Cape. We have our garden, but there's a lot of nature that passes through here because we're on the Cape, whether it's migration or seasonal nesters. But we have a lot of things to watch and listen to while we're here. Of course, the June bugs just popped out, the other day, and I have every year have had some great crested flycatchers and some yellow-billed cuckoos who come back, every year. Every year we've been here, we've had them, and it's always neat when you see things and hear things to be able to identify them. And through both our regular show on at Barrier Island Books and Arts book talk show that we do, and the nature things, we're always showing you a lot of nature books. And I always talk about how you got to have your, you know, your Sibley guide and your Peterson guide, and then for real pictures have your Audubon guide. But I did something the other day, but I thought we should have them in the store. And this is just about 1/5 of the ones I bought. These are the Easton Print higher end reprint editions of all of Roger Tory Peterson's field guides. They're all in leather and they are all in gilt, and I'm going to read those titles to you in one moment. So here we have Atlantic Shells, Eastern Forests, Eastern Trees, and Atlantic Seashore. And these are in perfect condition. Like I said, gilt ends, leather bound, and look beautiful on your shelf, but they are the fully functioning guides that they've always been for all the Peterson's field guides. Another author we have in the store who's a local birder, I talked about this book a lot. It's called Pete Dunn's Bayshore Summer, now that we're a few days away from the beginning of true summer. And he's also written, a lot of people enjoy this book, and if you like Pete Dunn's writing, even though it's not really about here, he also did spring and autumn, and the spring book is called Prairie Spring, and the Arctic is called Arctic Autumn. Pete Dunn is one of our most infamous local bird lore legend. And last but not least, I'm going to give a lead into next week's show. Because next week's show, we're going to talk about the season we've had down here during the pandemic since the last time we all talked. And I'm going to do less talking next episode, and it's going to be more pictures. A lot of pictures are going to be from a calendar that my wife and I and some friends have put together, primarily my wife, called Barrier Island Beauty, Photographs of Stone Harbor and Avalon. It's an 18-month calendar, so it only starts this July and then gets you through 18 months, so all of 2022. And this is the cover. Here's some photos from the back, but next week we're going to show you a lot of photos that we took of local nature, and a lot of pictures of the snowy owl that we were fortunate to have visit our island last year. And then we're going to talk about the tide chart that we made, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how the calendar was created in the world and how tides work. So that'll be next week's show. Well, actually not next week, we're doing every 2 weeks. So 2 weeks we'll do another, the nature of things, and alternating in between that will be our Bayside Book Chat. So to all of you, happy Father's Day. Even if you watch this late, today is Father's Day. My lovely daughter Parker is taking the film, and I'm going to go out in the nature tonight and watch a sunset and maybe get a little Father's Day dinner.